If Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's vision had become reality, the DC cinematic universe would have been restructured around an epic, long-brewing rivalry between Black Adam and Henry Cavill's Superman. Cavill would still be wearing the cape, and a Black Adam vs. Superman showdown would have been the ultimate event everything was building toward. But that's not how history unfolded. Instead, a mix of bold power plays, questionable decisions, and messy behind-the-scenes drama not only derailed Johnson's ambitions, it further fractured an already unstable DC universe. Let's break down exactly how The Rock tried and failed to take over DC. After a blockbuster leap from wrestling to movies with his debut in The Mummy Returns, Dwayne Johnson quickly rose as a charismatic action star. His performance was so well received that he landed his own spin-off, The Scorpion King, cementing him as a bankable leading man. Still, many of his early starring roles like The Rundown, Walking Tall, and Doom only earned modest box office results. To stay relevant, Johnson often accepted supporting roles in ensemble films like Be Cool and Get Smart, while steadily building credibility. It was during the filming of Get Smart that director Peter Sagal approached Johnson about playing Shazam in a film Sagal was set to direct. But as Johnson learned more about the story, he found himself drawn to Shazam's complex arch-nemesis, Black Adam, a morally gray figure not unlike his own WWF persona. By the time the project finally moved forward nearly a decade later, Johnson had become one of Hollywood's biggest stars. When the studio presented him with a Shazam script that featured origins for both heroes, Johnson pushed back. The studio liked the idea of introducing both in one film, but Johnson believed each character deserved their own movie. He argued that Shazam should be light and comedic, while Black Adam should be darker and more intense. The studio agreed, and Shazam hit theaters first, becoming a hit. However, instead of using this success to unite the DC universe, the situation exposed just how poorly it was being managed. The final scene of Shazam was meant to feature Superman joining Shazam and Freddy for lunch, teasing a shared universe. But the cameo fell apart when negotiations to bring back Henry Cavill failed. Cavill, or possibly his agent, Dany Garcia, who also happened to be The Rock's ex-wife and Johnson's agent, allegedly felt the cameo offer was too low, demanding higher pay. Other reports claimed Garcia was using the opportunity to negotiate a new Superman deal. With Cavill unavailable, the scene was awkwardly shot, with a body double shown only from the neck down a level of sloppiness you'd never see in Marvel's interconnected storytelling. The incident reportedly strained relationships between Cavill, Garcia, and Warner Brothers, highlighting DC's lack of cohesive planning. After Justice League disappointed at the box office and Zack Snyder exited the franchise, Warner Brothers hired Walter Hamada to lead DC Films. His goal: move away from a single director-driven vision and aim for a broader, more commercially viable slate. Despite wins like Aquaman and Shazam, the studio couldn't maintain momentum. Films like Birds of Prey, Wonder Woman 1984, and The Suicide Squad underperformed. When Black Adam was completed, test screenings were disastrous, on par with Batgirl, which the studio soon scrapped entirely. Furious over being excluded from key decisions like Batgirl's cancellation, Hamada considered resigning but agreed to stay through Black Adam's release. Warner Brothers ordered 20 days of expensive reshoots, ballooning the budget from $190 million to $260 million. The original Black Adam post-credits scene was meant to set up a clash with Shazam. Hawkman would recruit Shazam into the Justice Society. But with DC leadership in chaos, Johnson saw an opening. He pitched Hamada on replacing Shazam with Superman in the scene, aiming to set up a slow-burn rivalry across multiple films. Hamada rejected the idea he was already building toward a Crisis on Infinite Earth storyline via The Flash, and had plans for a Black Superman series. Refusing to take no for an answer, Johnson bypassed Hamada and went directly to Warner Brothers executives, who approved the cameo. There was a catch. Cavill was only contracted for one more Superman film, Man of Steel 2, which had been sidelined for years. In a rush to film the cameo, Cavill was paid $250,000 and given a verbal promise of future appearances, but never signed a new contract. This sparked speculation when Cavill left The Witcher, with many assuming it was due to his Superman return. Although later reports cited creative disputes with The Witcher team, Johnson began heavily teasing Cavill's comeback before Black Adam's release to boost box office interest. Johnson even vetoed a planned Shazam, Fury of the Gods cameo featuring Black Adam, blocking crossover opportunities and forcing DC to awkwardly insert characters from Peacemaker instead. When Black Adam finally hit theaters, it underperformed both financially and critically, shattering Johnson's hopes for a Black Adam-centered DC universe. Around the same time, Warner Bros. Merged with Discovery. New CEO David Zaslav wanted a Kevin Feige-style figure to unify DC's strategy. He eventually hired James Gunn and Peter Safran as co-CEOs of DC Studios. Gunn scrapped previous plans, announcing a full reboot after the remaining films released. He prioritized a fresh take on Superman, one younger, more idealistic, and played by a new actor. Cavill's return was over before it began. Cavill, who had just publicly announced his Superman comeback, had to reverse his statement. Feeling used in Johnson's failed DC takeover, he parted ways with Danny Garcia. In trying to elevate Black Adam, traditionally Shazam's villain, into the DC Universe's central figure, Johnson ignored the character's roots and alienated fans. His push to position Black Adam as Superman's rival sidelined Shazam, blocked meaningful crossovers, and further fragmented an already unstable franchise. Instead of saving DC, Johnson's moves accelerated its collapse, leaving both the Black Adam and Shazam series in worse shape.